Morning, everybody. Today, I want to talk about being misunderstood. If you ever have had something inside of you, had conversations with people, business meetings, and not felt like you were understood, this is not really about people not hearing you. It's actually about being misunderstood. First off, I want to say this. For myself, I've felt that I've been misunderstood for a very long time by most people. And I've started to unlock why that is, what I was doing, and then how to fix it very easily. And it all pointed down to the fact that I was actually afraid and nervous to say what I mean at all times, to speak directly, to speak to the truth. And I was speaking in more euphemisms, in more, expecting people to interpret what I meant. And so I wasn't serving those that I was working with directly. I was actually doing them a disservice by expecting them to know what was in my head. And a lot of times when we're misunderstood, that's why. And we expect people to take us at face value, to make a judgment that's perfectly on point with who we are, based on what we're saying and based on even the words that we're not saying, to be able to read through the lines. Especially if you're somebody that is can read people, you have a lot of empathy. Sometimes we call it prophetic. Some people call it empathic, whatever that is. I don't even know the definition of that word specifically, so I'm careful when I use it. But if you are able to understand people really well, you might expect other people to be the same way when in fact they're not. And so you also take people at face value to what they're saying. You might project differently. So I'm speaking about myself, my personal experience, and then for those of you, if you feel misunderstood, take ownership of the fact that you may not, in your communication, directly speak to what you mean at all times. You might be speaking in euphemism. You might be trying to circle around a topic. And even at the beginning of this video here for the first 2 minutes, I feel bad for some of the people that logged off on this, because I know that at the beginning of this video for 2 minutes, I wasn't specifically speaking what I meant to you, because I was trying to find the language inside of me for that. And so I want to say this for you: if you are feeling misunderstood, if you're feeling like the words you're saying aren't falling, they're not dropping in the right place, people aren't hearing what you're saying, speak directly. And it may come across rude. You may be worried that other people might think that you're rude if you speak directly. In our culture in America, this happens to where when we speak exactly what we mean, people then misunderstood why we're speaking directly. And so you have to learn to stand firm in this and ask questions. So in the US, ask more questions. Even in other countries, if you're speaking with somebody that speaks another language, ask questions. That way you both are in understanding. In communication with two people, if there is any sort of misunderstanding, that's room for breakdown, room for crumbling, room for the result to not reach the desired result for both parties. So let's break this down in a sales example. If you're selling something and you're not communicating to the person properly and there's a misunderstanding, you're misunderstanding them as not wanting to buy from you. They're misunderstanding you as not believing in your product, and that collides with you not selling. When in fact, the fact that they're in conversation with you means that they want to buy, almost always. And you have to believe that to sell better. The fact that they're looking at your website means that they want to buy. But you're miscommunicating what you're offering to them. You're not directly speaking to what their needs are, and you're not imparting that to them to understand exactly what you do. And so if you feel misunderstood, it's a communication barrier to where you're not speaking directly to what the other person needs to know to understand 100% of what you do. Okay? In a two-way dialogue, we can ask questions. We can hear back from people. When we do live videos like this, it's a slower feedback mechanism. The only feedback I can get from you about understanding or misunderstanding is what I hear from you, what I hear in comments, what I see in my Grow Your Life community. That's why I have that community, so I can understand my customers better, make better content, and then I adjust what I'm saying to help fit that. It's an active dialogue together. if we can do that, if we can talk, if you leave comments, if you ask me questions, if you're misunderstanding why I'm asking these things, if you're misunderstanding why I think some people might feel misunderstood. If you feel misunderstood, ask more questions. Ask the other person how they heard you. How are you hearing me right now that is listening to this? Is this resonating? Is it not? Say no, even in the comments. Is this relevant to you? Is it not? I want to know this. Is this topic that I'm talking about right now relevant to you? If you're still watching this, just let me know that and let me know what you're dealing with. Do you feel misunderstood? Are you somebody that feels misunderstood? And this is an example right here of that I don't want to be misunderstood in my motives behind what I'm saying. I don't want to misunderstand you. And so I want to have a dialogue back and forth together, the two of us. You watching this video, have a conversation back and forth. That way then I can understand you and then help you be understood by other people and reach your goals. If you're being misunderstood by somebody, you cannot reach your goals with them. Now, I'm not talking about manipulation, by the way. I'm talking about an honorable communication, a two-way communication that honors both parties to connect and truly be served. For you to, if you feel misunderstood, you first have to understand the other person. And the first key of working with people, if you feel misunderstood, is to understand them. The person you're talking to, you have to understand how they hear you. You have to understand them more than you care about being understood. And so if you've ever felt misunderstood, that comes from a place of feeling like you need to be understood to be validated in your worth, in your value. And that need is so great that you understanding the other person takes a back seat in your mind, and that is unhealthy. Making another person being understood, being served as a backseat to your own goals is a recipe for disaster in business, in marketing, in sales. Serve. And by serving, that's how you lead. And a leader that serves does so by understanding first and then helping express to the other person. And so if you feel misunderstood, if you're watching this right now, and you feel like you're somebody that is misunderstood in your life, mistaken, misinterpreted, often, you have to become a leader of that. And you have to take ownership over the fact of why that is. The only reason that you are misunderstood by anybody is because you haven't taken ownership over why you're being misunderstood, and you are blaming them for why you're misunderstood. And when we blame other people, it creates a vicious cycle, and we're constantly misunderstood, and we believe I'm misunderstood. So then we do things that make us be misunderstood constantly because you believe it's somebody else's fault. It's somebody else's responsibility to understand you. And many times we'll find leaders that understand us and we be led by them, but then sometimes we can fall trap to be manipulated by those leaders. I want to encourage you, if you're under the control of a leader that's manipulating you, leave. Stop. Do not let them continue with that. And then first learn to understand that person more than you care about being understood, and understand why they're doing what they're doing, why they're saying that. Communicate directly. Take ownership for, and don't make excuses for what you understand. Don't make excuses for yourself or the person you're communicating with. Saying that you're misunderstood is making an excuse for the person that's misunderstanding you. And you're excusing that because you don't understand them. I'll say that again. Saying that you are misunderstood is making an excuse for the other person because you don't care to understand them. So you're not caring to understand them, so you're excusing why they don't understand you, because all you care about is being understood. Stop it. Care more about the other person. Give more than you take, and serve and lead by serving. And that, and only that, is the path to no longer be misunderstood and to grow in your influence and leadership. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll talk soon.